Okay, let's talk about the where clause. So your table may have thousands of millions of records, but the front-end applications only want certain records based on certain criteria. For example, if you log into your net banking, you type in your customer ID. So what happens at the back end is it searches the SQL statement searches for the ID that you supplied with the help of net banking, and it tries to fetch the records that only belong to you. So in the similar fashion, in order to do that, you need a where clause. So in our example, we have employee ID, employee name, employee salary, and employee email. So let's assume that we want all the details for employee named John Smith. So in order to write this SQL statement, what you have to do is, so it's a select statement. First of all, that should be the trigger in your mind that it's a select statement. So you'll be writing select first, select, and you want all the details. So you'll be writing star, then you'll be writing a keyword called from, and then the table name. We'll be using employee table, but employee table is in schema called HR, so it's important to write HR first, HR dot employee, and then the where clause. So where clause is used if you want to filter certain records based on some conditions. So our condition is we want to get the name, or we want to get all the details for the employee whose name is John Smith. So then we will write the e name, because e name is the column name, equal to John Smith, and then you need to highlight this SQL statement and simply click on execute. So here you go. So out of all the employees, now you have only the details for the John Smith. So this was when there was a requirement to fetch the details for John Smith. What if you're given the task of fetching all the details of all the employees except John Smith? So let's write a query for that. What you will need to do is again use the same syntax. So this time we need to use the non-equal operator. There are two operators for this in SQL. First one is just the one that I've typed. So the name shouldn't be John Smith. If you click on execute, you will get all the employees and their details except for John Smith. Another important thing that is derived from this SQL statement is that the SQL queries or SQL statements are case insensitive. So that means you can write whatever case possible, and the results will be fetched if it matches the one that is stored in the database. Now this setting can be changed by the database admin, but by default the SQL statements are case insensitive. So this was the case of inequality operator. Now you can write this similar statement using another inequality operator that SQL Server has provided, and that is exclamation point followed by an equal. This will do the same job as is done by the previous inequality operator. You can see the results match. Now if I execute these two queries simultaneously, you will get two result sets, one on top and the other one at the bottom. So the results will be arranged in accordance with the statements issued in the query window. We press Ctrl R to get rid of the results window. Now there can be a condition where we might have to use some logical statements such as or and and. So what if we want the details of employees John and Bill? So in that case, you have to write select star from hr.employee where ename equal to John Smith, or we want to get the details of Bill King, or ename equal to Bill King. Highlight the statement and then click on execute. So you get the details for both John and Bill. So this is how we use the OR command. OR is a logical operator. Now another way to write this is using an in command. So we can write the similar statement of select star from hr.employee where ename in. Now all you have to do is type in the values that you want to be returned. So first one is John Smith and the other one is Bill King. So when you select or highlight the statement, you will get both the records for John and Bill. So I would say this is a good way to write if you are concerned with a single column only. So suppose if you had a condition like give me the details of John Smith or employees having salary greater than 10,000, then we would have written a query like select star from hr.employee where ename equal to John Smith or salary greater than 10,000. I think the column name is eCell, so we'll use eCell, and if you execute the statement, you'll get John Smith along with all the other employees whose salary is greater than 10,000. So if you have multiple columns, you can use or and or the other logical operators, but you have the same column, you can use the in command. So moving on, now another filter criteria can be that we want all the details for employees who have salary between 10,000 to 3,000. So how would you do it? You can write a query using select star from hr.employee where eCell between, so your lower range number that is 10,000 and the maximum range number that is 30,000, and when you execute it you will get the records. So it's the statements that you write is almost similar to the English language. So in case of a range, all you have to do is you can use a between command. Now there could be criteria where you want certain columns and you don't want the entire details of all the employees. For example, if the front-end application, any application, say in our case a .NET application only wants employee name and employee email based on employee ID. So what you can do is you can do ename, or you can write ename and email from HR employee, then the where condition and EID in 1 to 2. And when you execute it, you will only be able to fetch e-name and e-email. So as I told, it's not always necessary to get all the details. In fact, it's very rare if we talk about the practical scenarios. In that case, you have to write down the column names that you want to fetch from the table based on certain conditions. Now let's move to the next topic, that is pattern matching.